written. The following legislation is considered for suspension of the rules this evening. On second reading, Resolution 2023-91, and on first reading, Resolutions 2023-102 and 2023-104. Moving into reports, Mayor Daley Jones, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Madam President. Thank you. The Ohio Department of Transportation has announced a traffic pattern change at the exit ramp of I-480 and Clague Road. Both the center and right lanes must now turn right. Our service director has been in communication with ODOT about signage that they need to provide as soon as possible, and they have responded that they are aware and they are getting to it, but that certainly was not something that we were happy with that response about, because before they opened that road, they should have placed the signs. So ODOT is aware of our displeasure, and I just wanted council to be updated with all of that in case you receive any comments from residents. A series of 2 public meetings to discuss the coming renovations of North Olmsted Community Park will be held on Wednesday, October 18th, and Wednesday, October 25th, from 7 to 8 p.m. at the Community Cabin. Information and initial renderings will be presented and discussed. The second annual senior prom will be held from 4 until 7 p.m. Wednesday, October 4th at Springvale Ballroom. This event will feature an Oktoberfest-inspired dinner and dessert sponsored by Brookdale Senior Living. Beer and wine will be included, and DJ Carl will keep the dancing going all night long. This fundraiser will cost $10 per person, and tickets are available now. This year, our Halloween event, normally held at the high school, will take place at North Olmsted Park from 1 until 3 p.m. Saturday, October 7th, sponsored by our North Olmsted Police Department in conjunction with the Department of Recreation and Public Engagement. Later that afternoon, beginning at 5 p.m., you'll be able to enjoy the rescheduled concert in the park with the nationally known Journey tribute band, Escape. This event was rained out in August. There will be food trucks and beer and wine available for purchase. On October 25th, from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., we will host trick-or-treating at City Hall for City Hall employees and their families, as well as members of the community. Departments will decorate in the spirit of the Halloween season, and City Hall workers plan to dress in costume for the children. This is a new event this year and an alternative for those who may not wish to go trick-or-treating door to door. Another new event this year is the first Boogie Bash Halloween dance, to be held from 6 till 9 p.m. on Thursday, October 26th at Springvale Ballroom. Tickets will be sold at the door for only $15 per person. If you bring 3 canned goods to be donated to the city's Oxcart Food Pantry, admission is only $10. You can wear your favorite costume and enjoy a cash bar, a wine pool, finger foods, and dancing with DJ Carl. Work is already underway to secure bands for the Saturday in the Park Summer Concert Series 2024 at North Olmsted Community Park. Confirmed bands so far are Disco Inferno, The Diamond Project, and Ace Molar, featuring Fox 8 News' Todd Meany. I will share more with council as additional groups are secured. Trick-or-treating will be observed in the city from 6 until 8 p.m. on Tuesday, October 31st. Participating residents are asked to turn on their porch light during those 2 hours. The City of North Olmsted's next community Shred It and computer recycling event will take place from 9 a.m. until noon on Saturday, September 30th at the North Olmsted Recreation Center. Both collections will occur simultaneously. Shredded material is limited to 2 bags or boxes per resident, and no business computers will be accepted for recycling. The city is partnering with the Great Northern Mall and Moen to hold the rained-out North Olmsted Boom event as part of Santa's grand arrival at Great Northern Mall on Friday, November 17th. The event, also sponsored by Northeast Ohio Parent Magazine, will begin indoors at 5:30 p.m. with games and other fun activities, At approximately 6:30 p.m., everyone will gather outside for Santa's grand arrival and the fireworks show. Once the show is over, everyone can head inside to get their photo taken with Santa and enjoy other planned activities. And Madam President, that concludes my report this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Director of Law, Garreau, do you have a report this evening?
Thank you, Madam President, I do. In the matter of Kovacs Group versus City of North Olmsted, BZBA, in Caucus County Court of Common Pleas case number 23-983-699, the court has set that matter for a case management conference on October 10th. I will attend that matter. This is the Kava Bar business license denial appeal. We are in the process of preparing the transcript. It's a 5-hour-long hearing, so we secured a entity court reporting service to do the transcript and assembling the record. That will be submitted to the court hopefully very shortly here, and then we'll do a scheduling conference for briefing, which is what's essentially left. In the matter of Silverstein Firm LLC versus the City of North Olmsted, that's also in the Caucus County Court of Common Pleas 23-983-383. The court has set the matter also for a case management conference on December 6th at 11:30. I will also attend that. There's been a number of preliminary motions that have been filed on behalf of both sides. Those have been fully briefed by the city and by plaintiff, and we're awaiting rulings on those. Lastly, in the category of things you sometimes find yourself working on that you didn't expect would come up, you would be surprised at the amount of time that the City of North Olmsted spends on cemeteries. Our 2 cemeteries, from people requesting to purchase, to people claiming they own it, to people wanting to be buried there when we're not sure if they can be buried there, and to the staff in the service department, and the amount of time that's spent on those, because it's broken up into different divisions. So we've been kind of streamlining the application process, trying to nail this down so that it's not so cumbersome. You wouldn't think it would be, but actually it is. So I think what comes next is probably some updates on some fees, which you would see along the way to get some of that taken care of, and maybe try to limit some of the expense to the city of managing that in terms of people giving you very little notice that they need to utilize the cemetery. So we've been kind of working on that, had a meeting on that, drafted some additional documents to clean it up, but I thought I'd share that with you. It's just one of those things you wouldn't think would take that much time, but it really actually does to run those 2 cemeteries, between the service department, between the clerk of council, between the service department secretary and administrative assistants. So I've been kind of chipping in that as I can, and it's an interesting project, and you'll probably see some fee structures coming your way here in the near future to try to offset some of those expenses. So I'd share that with you. That's it. No further report.
Thank you. Director of Finance, Copper, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, I do. And Director Garreau, I love hearing when people are actually looking at the cost of providing the service and adjusting the revenues accordingly. So good job.
There you go.
The OPWC grant for Clegg Road was submitted by the city engineer last Thursday. And again, I want to thank you for accommodating this sudden change in our strategy. And here's hoping that the county was right and will be successful. As a member, I am a member of the 2025 Master Plan Steering Committee, and we had our first meeting on September 7th. I think that the administration has gathered a good group of volunteers with a broad breadth of knowledge and experiences, and I think that they will do well. And yes, I did say 2025 because it takes about 18 months to accomplish this. So I look forward to serving on it. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Director. Moving into council committee reports, I will begin with the Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee report. The Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee met on Tuesday, September 12th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Present were committee members Williamson and Madden, Council President Broussard, council members Gilchrist, Heeman, Limpert, and Scarl, the mayor, assistant law director, the directors of finance, HR, economic development, and recreation, and the mayor's special assistant. On the agenda was liquor permit number 7637490, S&A Spirits doing business as Travelers Grill, second floor and deck, located at 24532 Lorraine Road. After review by the police department and finding no issues, a motion was made to not object to the liquor permit, and that motion passed with a vote of 3-0. At this time, I'd like to move to not object to liquor permit number 7637490 for S&A Spirits doing business as Travelers Grill, second floor and deck, located at 24532 Lorraine Road, and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to not object to liquor permit number 7637490 for S&A Spirits doing business as Travelers Grill, made by Councilwoman Williamson, seconded by Councilman Madden. Roll call, please.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Mr. Glassbern?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Motion to not object to liquor permit number 7637490 passed by a vote of 7-0. And the Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee meeting concluded at 7:02 PM. Councilman Limpert, Chairman of the Building, Zoning, and Development Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Madam President Pro Tem, thank you. The Building, Zoning, and Development Committee met at 7 PM on September 12th. Present were committee members Limpert, Heeman, Williamson, council members Gilchrist, Madden, Scarl, Mayor, Assistant Law Director, HR Director, Economic Development Director, Recreation Director, Special Assistant to the Mayor. On the agenda, first was discussed ordinance 2023-88 to amend Chapter 1126.06 entitled Development Plan Requirements of Chapter 1126 entitled Development Plan Review, which altered the requirements for initial submission of Planning Commission, which will now allow final engineering drawings to be completed after the Planning Commission versus previous. This would require detailed specifications such as retention and retention calculations, cross sections of roadways, dimension of passing lanes, and other detailed specifications to be delayed for the initial proposal to planning. Mr. Upton noted that most municipalities in the area do not require detailed engineering specs as part of the initial proposal, and they can be considered a high barrier to entry for projects being submitted. There was approved amendment to retain language within the amendment on stormwater retention and detention ponds, as well as to address the Charter Article 7 addressing that the Planning Commission did not hear this to recommend approval, and therefore, after a certain number of days, it was passed with no recommendation to council. And the ordinance, after discussion, was approved by a vote of 2-1. Next on the agenda was 2023-97, which was an ordinance to establish a tax increment financing district, or TIF, within Brook Park Road corridor, as a TIF would protect school. The TIF would protect school impacts as they'd be made whole, but would allow us, in addition to the 9% of property funding, which would be allocated within the TIF, we would gain access to the remaining approximately 21% of the county funding revenue from property taxes to be used within that TIF area. The motion was held in committee by a vote of 3-0 as the boundaries of the TIF required further review. Councilman Limpert asked the administration to review the language related to the use of real estate purchase if they intended that to be usable beyond the purchase of easements. It was also amended Section 7 of the ordinance to change the title and legislation from city auditor to finance director. Next on the agenda was Planning Commission Case 23-2499, Midtown Remodeling and Demolition at 29420 Lorraine Road. This was recommended for approval with conditions that were recommended by the Planning Commission by a vote of 3-0, and the meeting concluded at 7:23 p.m. Madam President Pro Tem,
Councilman.
at this time I'd like to make a motion to approve PDC Case 23-2499, Midtown Remodeling and Demolition at 29420 Lorraine Road, and ask for a second.
Second. Motion to approve PDC case number 23-24999, made by Councilman Limpert, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Mr. Glassbern?
Yes.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Motion to approve PDC case number 23-24999 passed by a vote of 7-0.
Madam President, this concludes my report. Thank you.
Mr. Lippert, will you be amending 88 and 97?
Yeah, Mr. Guerrero, do I need to amend those on this meeting? Because they're not going to...
I'm sorry, I was looking at another piece of
Oh,
legislation.
I didn't amend, I didn't request to amend yet. The two ordinances that I mentioned were discussed for amendment. I can do that. I guess I'll do it now. It's fine. I don't have the specific, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to amend ordinance 2023-88 to amend chapter 11.26.06 to retain the section on retaining the quote-unquote word stormwater retention and detention ponds, as well as to address the notes on the legislation related to Charter Article 7, addressing the whereas clause, noting that the Planning Commission did not hear and recommend approval for this ordinance, and ask for a second.
Second. Motion to amend ordinance 2023-88 made by Councilman Limpert, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
No.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Motion to amend ordinance 2023-88 passed by a vote of 6-1.
Madam President, at this
Councilman.
time, I'd like to make a motion to amend ordinance 2023-97, which is related to the tax and criminal finance, and ask that we amend section 7 of the ordinance to change the title in the legislation from city auditor to finance director, and ask for a second.
Second. Motion to amend ordinance 2023-97 made by Councilman Limpert, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes. Motion to amend ordinance 2023-97 passed by a vote of 7-0. Councilwoman Heeman, Chairwoman of the Recreation, Public Parks, and Buildings Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do, thank you. The Recreation, Public Parks, and Buildings met on Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, to discuss ordinance 2023-92, an ordinance dispensing with the requirement of North Olmsted Codified Ordinances, Section 111.01 entitled City Contracts Involving the Receipt of Funds, and authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Cleveland Ice Storm Synchronized Skating Club to provide concession services at the Recreation Center and declaring an emergency. The meeting was called to order at 7:23 p.m. Present were committee members Heeman, Limpert, and Scarl, Council President Brassard, Councilpersons Gilchrist, Madden, Williamson, the mayor, the assistant law director, the finance director, human resource director, economic development director, recreation director, and the special assistant to the mayor. Director Pinchek addressed committee and council and stated that the concession services will be provided primarily during the winter months by the Cleveland Ice Storm Group, as they have been in the past. The group will be responsible for all supplies with their profits going back to the Cleveland Ice Storm Group for the benefit of their club. The city of North Olmsted will be paid a flat fee of $200 for the season for the use of the space and equipment. This is something that has been done in the past, and the Synchronized Skating Club is actually a competitive skating club that is actually USFSA certified, that the city of North Olmsted is very proud of. It's an expensive endeavor for them to compete and travel, and we are very happy that they have wanted to take on the concession stand, and hopefully we will provide them with a lot of purchases so that they can enjoy the benefit of that. The Chairperson Heeman made a motion to recommend 2023-92 to all of council, seconded by Councilman Scarl. The motion passed 3-0, and the meeting concluded at 7:26 PM. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Limpert, Vice Chairman of the Finance Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do have a report this evening, Madam President Pro Tem, thank you. The Finance Committee met on the 12th of September at 7:27 PM. Present were committee members Limpert and Williamson, council members Gilchrist, Heeman, Madden, Scarl, the mayor, assistant law director, HR director, economic development director, recreation director, and special assistant to the mayor. The committee discussed ordinance 2023-91, which is an annual acceptance of tax rates by the tax commission based on property tax levies. The assignment of millage across the funds is consistent with last year. This is an annual process. The motion passed with a recommendation for suspension of the rules by a vote of 2-0, and that suspension was due to meet the submission deadlines. Next on the agenda was 2023-94, which was for the sale of parcel number 233-26-063, which is less than an acre for a number that's still being finalized within the purchase area for a school property. The sale of the property would be to BW Properties LLC and would be for the proposed expansion of Weber Automotive and its conversion to an additional building. There was some discussion on the acreage of the legislation related to the ordinance versus some of the analyses provided to the committee. The planning director noted that at follow-up conversations with residents who had expressed some concern in a previous council meeting regarding the sale of the property. And Director Upton also noted the added benefits as part of the sale to provide an easement for the property that would allow access for any service and utilities that would be required by the city. And that as part of the development plan, there would be the ability to address water retention requirements for the expanded property. Mr. Upton noted that the sale does not close without completion of all approvals related to the building and planning components of any development that would occur on the property. And that was not put forth on the agenda today, is pending some legislation finalization. Next was ordinance 2023-96, directed that the real property owned by the city of North Olmsted as a participant in North Olmsted Land Reutilization Program, and otherwise known as PPN 237-19-027, be sold to GD III Ventures LLC, and authorize the mayor to move forward with that grant. This project is maroon parcel, or not grant, excuse me, that sale. Project is maroon parcel due to 480 intersecting that piece, and the property is within the land bank, and the sale price is $20,000 as stated by the county fiscal office. The sale requires some analysis on payouts of taxes by the land bank and city. The motion was recommended for approval by a vote of 3-0. Last on the agenda was ordinance 2023-98, which is a resolution authorizing the city to apply for grant funding through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for funding to be used for improvements to North Olmsted Park. This ODNR grant would be used for projects within the park, including but not limited to gazebo, baseball fields, and walking trails. Grant is up to $500,000 matching grant, and the expectation is that the project related to renovation of this park, combined with other funding sources, ARPA, Ohio Senate grant, and cell revenues would cover the matching component. And after a few other conversations on just when the project could proceed, the motion passed by a vote of 3-0, and the meeting concluded at 7:55 p.m. Madam President, this concludes my report.
Thank you. Is there a motion to move 2023-94 back to committee?
It's not on the agenda, so I can just sit there, so just.
Yes,
Okay. Okay, so we're not gonna do that.
Okay. Let's move on this.
Pardon?
Just move on this.
Yeah. Councilman Scarl, Chairman of the Environmental Control Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Madam President. The Environmental Control Committee meeting met on September 12th, 2023 at 7:58. Committee members Scarrow, Madden, Gilchrist, Council President Broussard, Councilwoman Heeman, Limpert, Williamson, the mayor, assistant law director, finance director, HR director, economic development director, recreation director, and special assistant to the mayor. On the agenda was ordinance 2023-93, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding and site license agreement with Rust Belt Riders Composting LLC. Rust Belt Riders is to place compost pickup containers at City Hall. There is going to be no cost to the city. Residents that choose to join composting with them will pay a $12 fee to use it, and the site is to be determined up at City Hall. And after that discussion, the committee voted 3-0 to recommend to all of council. Next on the agenda was Resolution 2023-99, a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service to advertise for bids for the purchase of a gasoline-powered leaf vacuum to assist in performance of the city's annual leaf pickup program, as detailed in the specifications on file, and authorizing the mayor, following approval of the Board of Control, to contract for the same with the lowest and best bidder and declaring an emergency. The purchase of this power leaf vacuum is going to be approximately between $65,000 and $70,000. This will help and aid with our annual leaf pickup that we contract out. The committee feels this will be a big asset to our residents. This will help with missed leaf pickups where our own service department will have a chance to go out there and pick up leaves that either they just got missed by our contract, or late leaves that fall, maybe early leaves that fall. So that's going to be a big help in our leaf program. After that discussion, the committee voted 3-0 to recommend Resolution 2022-99, and the meeting concluded at 8:09. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gilchrist, Chairwoman of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, Madam Pro Tem, I have a report. The Intergovernmental Relations Committee met on Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, to consider Mayor Jones's recommendation for appointments to the Arts Commission and the Planning and Design Commission. The meeting was called to order at 8:09 p.m. In attendance were committee members Gilchrist, Heeman, and Scarrow, council members Williamson, Limpert, Glassburn, and Madden, the mayor, the law director, the finance director, the HR director, the economic director, the recreation director, and the special assistant to the mayor, and guests. The committee discussed the appointment of Mr. Mark Mallett to the Art Commission to fill a position for the term of January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2025, as well as the appointment of Mr. Thomas David to the Planning and Design Commission to fill a position for the term of January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2027. Pleasantries were discussed with both candidates. At the conclusion of the discussion, Ms. Gilchrist made a motion to approve the appointments as read, seconded by Ms. Heeman, and the committee vote was unanimous to recommend the appointments of both Mr. Mark Mallett and Mr. Thomas David. The committee meeting concluded at 8:19 p.m. At this time, Madam Pro Tem, I move to recommend the appointment of Mr. Mark Mallett to the Art Commission for a term of January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2025, and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to approve Mark Mallett, the mayor's appointment to the Arts Commission for the unexpired term of January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2025, made by Councilwoman Gilchrist, seconded by Councilwoman Heeman. Roll call, please.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Ms. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassbern?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Motion to approve Mark Mallett, the mayor's appointment to the Arts Commission for the unexpired term of January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2025, passed by a vote of 7-0.
Also, Madam Pro Tem, I move to recommend the appointment of Mr. Thomas David to the Planning and Design Commission to fill the term of January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2027, and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to,
Seconded by Ms. Heeman.
thank you. Motion to approve Thomas David, the mayor's appointment to the Planning and Design Commission for the unexpired term of January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2027, made by Councilwoman Gilchrist, seconded by Councilwoman Heeman. Roll call, please.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Ms. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassbern?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes. Motion to approve Thomas David, mayor's appointment to the Planning and Design Commission for the unexpired term of January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2027, passed by a vote of 7-0.
And that concludes my report, Madam Pro Tem.
Thank you. Councilman Madden, Chairman of the Streets and Transportation Committee, do you have a report this evening?
No, Madam President, no report tonight.
Thank you. Are there any letters or communications to come before council at this time?
No, Madam President.
Thank you. We'll move on into audience participation. Thank you all for attending tonight's council meeting. Public comment offers the opportunity for members of the public to share information and bring issues and concerns to the attention of city council members. It is not a debate, and public comment speakers should not expect a back and forth exchange. Council members may ask clarifying questions of the speaker, city staff, or fellow council members. Those attending city council meetings should show the same respect to others that they wish to have shown to them. If there is anyone in the audience who would like to address council, please come to the podium, state and spell your name and address for the clerk. If you live in a city other than North Olmsted, please state the name of that city and proceed with your comments. You will have up to 5 minutes.
Paul Shemsky, 5654 Columbia Road. I've been meeting with residents, and a couple of questions have come up about where we are on the traffic devices for controlling speed. I remember it was talked about in June, I believe. And I know there is a controlled kill from the Ohio Wildlife Department. And do you guys have any data about how many deer they actually killed this season? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening again. To the questions about the speed signs, we have 2 new speed signs that have been deployed. We have also upgraded the 2 signs we previously had. Both are cloud-based. So they are deployed on a regular basis, and they rotate around the city. So we are moving them around as quickly as we can. They usually stay at each location about a week at a time. That gives us enough data to be able to monitor what some trends might be at those locations. As far as the deer management program, which ran from beginning of January through the end of March of this year, we killed 86 deer and 1 coyote.
Thank you, Director.
Madam President, or Pro Tem.
Councilman.
Just a clarification, Safety Director, is that just our program, or was that the county? I missed whether you said that was ours and
The deer management
Yeah,
program,
yeah.
just ours.
Okay.
I don't have data on any other programs.
Okay, because there's also the Metro Parks program too, right? as well as the county program?
Yeah, a number of different communities and entities have a deer management program. I do not have that data with me for sure, but I can get it if anyone's interested.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening. Connie English, 5009 East Park Drive, North Olmsted. I just want to talk again, some points that I didn't get out last week or 2 weeks ago about the cell tower that you guys want to put in the middle of North Olmsted Park. So I want to talk about communication, which we did touch on before. Many citizens feel that there has been no information and/or communication given to them regarding City Council's decision. In June, it was decided that the tower was going to be 60 feet, but it turns out it's going to be at least 100 feet, possibly even more. I'm not sure because we have no communication. Don't know what G it's going to be. The cell tower in the center of the community park, the center where all three surrounding streets, North Park, East Park, and West Park, will face, not tucked in a corner somewhere like at Little Clegg Park, where some people say they don't see it, which it still needs to be painted. I looked today. It hasn't been addressed. I would like to read the opening paragraph from Mayor Jones, which was printed in the December 31st, 2022 year-end financial report. This one here that they mail out to everybody. It says, as your mayor, I made the promise that we would provide a fresh approach to solving problems and maintain transparent communication. So, this does not seem like it's been transparent communication about the cell tower. Where's that been in the past year? As Mr. Upton said that the city was in talks with TowerCo 1 year ago. And when the communication issue was brought up at the last council meeting, Mr. Upton said that the cell legislation was in the public space for 10 weeks. How are we supposed to know about that? By coming to every council meeting, you expect everyone to come, or, hunt down the minutes. So you're confirming the fact that if we don't watch what you're doing every step of the way, we can be taken advantage of? What specifically did you mean by that quote? It was in the public space for 10 weeks. You also said that you brought in outside counsel to ensure the city was getting a good deal. Who was the outside counsel you brought in? Did the city have to pay them? Quick calculations by myself, and I could be wrong, but $400,000 divided by 40 years equals $10,000 a year, divided by 12 months equals $833 a month. The cell tower at the Rec earns $1,500 a month, which you also renegotiated to a $400,000 payment. So you went from receiving $1,500 a month to $833. I know there's a 2% increase on a yearly thing or whatever. I'm not really sure about it, but 2% of $833 is like $16 or something. Again, will the taxpayers then be on the hook for fixing the upgrades that were made? You're gonna have to pass levies for that. It's kind of not fair when, they voted down to fix up the park. So you went around to figure out a quick way to get the money. I will look into the grant from ODNR to see if there's a conflict of interest in securing the monies to fix up the park when you're putting a cell tower in the park. I would like to know or see the search ring that was involved in this, because I find it hard to believe that only one location was identified, and that happened to be in the middle of city property where you can make the money off of it. Is that convenient, a coincidence? I don't know. And at the same time the rec center was being negotiated. Was that the same time? And you say, oh, well, we have some more property over here. We can get another cell tower put in. I don't know. It sounds a little suspect. I've made signs. I've spent my own money. I made signs, put them around the neighborhood. I will be starting a petition. I will retain legal counsel if needed to make sure that every I has been dotted and every T has been crossed. I will alert the media. I have done much research on the 98-year-old property purchased by the citizens of North Olmsted for the purpose of a community park. They wanted a place to gather, to enjoy, and preserve for years to come, not to exploit and commercialize it to make a quick buck. Don't sell our park out. Find a more suitable location. Although there may never be an ideal place for a cell tower, there are most definitely better choices.
Ms. English, you have 1 minute.
I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments from the audience,
Good evening, I am Terry Zarnecki. I live at 5109 East Park Drive, North Olmsted. I, a resident, have just found out about this cell tower. It will be directly in front of my door. I'm opposed to it. I'm also a real estate agent. I believe that this is going to bring down our property values. So I agree with Mrs. English. And I'm sure once we get the word out and the residents of East Park, North Park, West Park find out, there's going to be more angry and upset people. So please, we would like to ask you, find a better place. Do not interrupt our peace, the beautiful properties that we have. There's got to be other places to put that. Thank you.
thank you. Seeing no other comments from the audience, we will now move into legislation.
Legislation on second reading, ordinance 2023-88, introduced by Mayor Jones, an ordinance amending section 1126.06 entitled Development Plan Requirements of Chapter 1126 of the Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Olmsted, entitled Development Plan Review as amended. Resolution 2023-91, introduced by Mayor Jones, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county fiscal officer.
Madam President,
Councilman,
I would move to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings for 2023-91. The item was considered in our joint committee, Mr. Limper and ours, and is a intergovernmental agreement that allows us to collect taxes, which clearly is necessary for public welfare. And I ask for a second.
Second.
motion to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings for Resolution 2023-91 made by Councilman Glassburn, seconded by Councilman Limpert. Roll call, please.
Mr. Glassburn.
Yes.
Mr. Limpert.
Yes.
Mr. Madden.
Yes.
Ms. Williamson.
Yes.
Mr. Scarl.
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist.
Yes.
Ms. Heeman.
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings passes by a vote of 7-0. If there is anyone in the audience who wishes to address council regarding Resolution 2023-91, please approach the podium now.
Seeing none, Madam President, I would move to adopt 2023-91 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2023-91 made by Councilman Glassburn, seconded by Councilman Limpert. Roll call, please.
Mr. Glassburn.
Yes.
Mr. Lippert.
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist.
Yes.
Ms. Heeman.
Yes.
Ms. Williamson.
Yes.
Mr. Madden.
Yes.
Mr. Scarl.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-91 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance 2023-92, introduced by Mayor Jones, an ordinance dispensing with the requirements of North Olmsted Codified Ordinance, Section 111.01, entitled City Contracts Involving the Receipt of Funds, and authorizing mayor to enter into a contract with Cleveland Ice Storm Synchronized Skating Club to provide concession services at the Recreation Center and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 2023-93, introduced by Mayor Jones, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding and site license agreement with Rust Belt Riders Composting LLC. Ordinance 2023-96, introduced by Mayor Jones, an ordinance directing that the real property owned by the city of North Olmsted as a participant in and administrator of the North Olmsted Land Reutilization Program, and otherwise known as PPN 237-19-027 to be sold to GD3 Ventures LL3, and further authorizing the mayor to execute a purchase and sale agreement and all other documents required to effectuate said sale. Resolution 2023-98, introduced by Mayor Jones, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city to apply for grant funding through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for funding to be used for improvements at the North Olmsted Park and declaring an emergency. Resolution 2023-99, introduced by Mayor Jones, a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service to advertise for bids for the purchase of a gasoline-powered leaf vacuum to assist in performance of the city's annual leaf pickup program as detailed in specifications on file, and authorizing the mayor following approval of the Board of Control to contract for the same with the lowest and best bidder and declaring an emergency. Legislation on first reading, Resolution 2023-100, a resolution authorizing the Director of Recreation and Public Engagement to advertise for bids for the award of a contract to provide construction services for the Springvale dredging project as detailed in specifications on file, authorizing the mayor following approval of the Board of Control to enter into a contract for same with the lowest and best bidder.
Madam President, I introduce and place on first reading.
Thank you, Mayor.
Resolution 2023-101, a resolution authorizing the Director of Recreation and Public Engagement to advertise for bids for the award of a contract to provide construction services for the Springvale ADA ramp project as detailed in specifications on file, and authorizing the mayor following approval by the Board of Control to enter into contract for same with the lowest and best bidder.
Madam President, I introduce and place on first reading.
Thank you.
Resolution 2023-102, a resolution ratifying and retroactively authorizing the mayor to apply for up to $1,570,000 in financial assistance from the Ohio Public Works Commission, OPWC, in grant funding for the Clegg Road resurfacing project and declaring an emergency.
Madam President, I introduce, place on first reading, and request suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings and formal committee review.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings and formal committee review for 2023-102. We've talked about Clegg Road's rehabilitation extensively. This is an intergovernmental agreement and would provide for us to move forward on that project, and I ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings and formal committee review for Resolution 2023-102, made by Councilman Glassburn, seconded by Councilman Limpert. Roll call, please.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes. Motion to suspend the rules passed by a vote of 7-0. If there is anyone in the audience who wishes to address council regarding Resolution 2023-102, please approach the podium now.
Seeing none, Madam President, I move to adopt 2023-102 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2023-102 made by Councilman Glassburn, seconded by Councilman Limpert. Roll call, please.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Resolution 2023-102 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Resolution 2023-103, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Advanced Asphalt Paving, Inc. to provide services to the parking area of Fire Station 2 at a cost of $19,900.
Madam President, I introduce and place on first reading.
Resolution 2023-104, a resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase 2 new Ford Police Interceptors from Montrose Ford at a total cost of $84,082.74, and further authorizing the mayor to execute all purchase agreements and declaring an emergency.
Madam President, I introduce, place on first reading, and request suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings and formal committee review.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Councilman.
I move to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings and formal committee review for Resolution 2023-104, as these were discussed in caucus, wherein Director Schofield advised there's currently no inventory on these units, and emphasized the need to move quickly in order to fill the order, and ask for a second.
Second. Motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings and formal committee review for Resolution 2023-104 made by Councilman Madden, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rules Passes by a vote of 7-0. If there is anyone in the audience who wishes to address council regarding Resolution 2023-104, please approach the podium now.
Madam President, seeing and hearing no comments, I move to adopt Resolution 2023-104 and ask for a second.
Second. Motion to adopt Resolution 2023-104 made by Councilman Madden, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Resolution 2023-104 is adopted by a vote of 7-0. At this time, I would like to schedule a committee of the whole meeting on September 26, 2023 at 7:15 PM to adjourn into executive session to consider the sale of property. All of council, the mayor, law director Garreau, finance director Kopfer, and economic development director Upton are asked to attend. Moving into scheduling committee meetings for Tuesday, September 26, 2023. I'm going to schedule a Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee meeting that evening at 7 PM to discuss Resolution 2023-103, and I ask that the mayor or her designee attend. Councilman Limpert, would you like to schedule a Building, Zoning, and Development Committee meeting?
I would. I'd like to schedule a Building Zone Development Committee meeting on September 26th at 7:05 PM. Discuss 2023-97, which is currently in Element Committee. Would ask that the Finance Director and then the Economic Development Director or any other of the mayor's designees be present.
Councilwoman Heeman, would you like to schedule a Recreation, Public Parks, and Buildings Committee meeting?
Thank you, I would. I would like to schedule that meeting from beginning at 7:10 until 7:15 to address 2023-100 and 2023-101. And I'd like a place for the mayor, the service director, and the director of recreation and public engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. Pardon me?
Yeah.
Councilman Glassburn, would you like to schedule a Finance Committee meeting? I'm thinking maybe 7:20
Not sure what's on the agenda.
after the executive session
Sure.
for 2023-94. I thought that was, are we not doing that? We're holding it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps we don't need one.
We don't need a meeting.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion on the floor to excuse the absence of Council President Broussard?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to excuse Council President Broussard made by Councilwoman Heeman, seconded by Councilman Glassburn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Ms. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Scarl?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes. Council President Broussard is excused by a vote of 7-0. With the agenda being completed and there being no further business to come before council, this meeting of September 19th, 2023 is adjourned at 8:56 PM.